Hi, I'm Allie Reynolds with Allie's Organics, and we're going to show you how far to space vegetables in a raised bed. And I like to cram things a lot closer than a lot of people do. So on your tag here, this one says 14 inches apart, and so I'm actually going to go about 12 inches, maybe even just a little bit closer. I'm just going to stick that guy in the ground here. I want to be at least 6 inches from the edge. My taller vegetables I want on the north side so they're not shading. Eggplant gets kind of tall. And here's another eggplant. They will kind of support each other if they're closer together. They also shade and they also help with weeds if you're planting a little bit closer together. So here they're about 12 inches apart. Now if you have a squash like this, they actually take up quite a bit of room. And if you don't mind them draping over the edge, then I'll stick one kind of in the corner over here. And we're going to be about 18 inches apart here from this. And this is a bush variety, so it's not going to get as big. I'll stick it on the corner here and it'll kind of just trail over, and I don't mind that so much. Now I can actually cram some more stuff in here. On the edge here, just to save some space, I can actually pop in some onions. And we want about 4 to 6 inches apart on these guys to get good size. But in a raised bed, you can have them a little bit closer. So I'm going to go about 3 inches apart. And as they grow up, I'll be plucking the one out in the center to give these guys on each side to get a little bit more space. So I'll go through and use the ones every other, and that way the ones that are on the other side can get a little bit bigger, have time to grow. And then I've got a small onion that I can use early. This is a pepper plant, and I can go on the other side of the eggplant. I want a little bit more space there, maybe 14, 15 inches apart from the eggplant. I like to space pepper plants about 12 inches apart. There again, they kind of support each other. I don't mind the closeness. They grow pretty close. It helps shade them just a little bit too so they don't get so much sun scald. Now tomatoes, they need a little bit more room, but if you're doing an indeterminate, it's good to grow them along the back side. If you're pruning tomatoes, indeterminate tomatoes, and you put them along the back side, you can actually space those about 15 inches apart and keep them staked up and tied up along a trellis. But if you're doing a determinate tomato or bush variety that doesn't get as large, they're more compact, then you can actually space those about 15 inches apart. You can do a diagram about 15 inches apart, a little bit further than this, kind of like a dice of 5, and one in the center there. That way you have more space being used. If we've got a seed packet here and we're planting seeds, these are beets, and it says to space them or thin them out to 4 to 6 inches, then plant them about 4 inches apart. Don't worry about thinning them out, just go about 4 inches apart right to begin with. I always pick the closest distance for seeds. If we've got lettuce, then we can actually plant that pretty close together because these are just packets and they're not going to take up any more space. They're going to get taller, but we can actually just plant these like 4 inches apart. So we can pop these out and they'll only be about 4 inches apart because they're not going to really fill in. They're just going to get bigger. We could also put some spinach in here in the same distance as far as the distance as you do with your lettuces. Or you can kind of alternate them. It's kind of aesthetically pleasing, kind of cool looking. There's just some ideas to help you space out your vegetables in your raised bed.